Climate Adaptation Solutions project. The project itself that I'm going to tell you about is a collaboration, a funding collaboration between the Government of Canada through Natural Resources Canada, Climate Change Secretariat, Climate Change and Adaptation. Yeah. Interesting slide here, the amounts that are involved. It's supposed to be a 50-50 split. As of yesterday morning, the federal 7 million is now 4 million based on some discussions that are ongoing. That funding program began essentially in September 2009, and the end products that will be delivered will be on the street for December 2012. So we were kind of just past the middle point of our project. We've got a lot of work to do in the coming year and a bit. So, but I'm hoping that I can report to you a little bit about some of the successes and some of the learnings that we've achieved over the last couple of years. Just to set, just to set the stage a little bit, the whole concept of addressing climate change adaptation is based on the fact that it has been recognized that all areas of the world, but essentially in Atlantic Canada, are being affected by significant and more frequent severe weather events. And we happen to be, again, speaking to the converted, will appreciate that we have significant coastline at risk. The key concept here is that there's been in the past when storms weren't as frequent a little bit of an approach where, yeah, we'll let them happen and then we'll fix it afterwards. But there's more and more recognition that not doing anything about the problem, not trying to protect ourselves does cost money. In fact, you probably saw in the news just 2 days ago, I think it was, that the National Roundtable on Environment and the Economy is estimating the costs of climate change. I think that's a national figure, but the costs of climate change will reach huge amounts annually by, well, they say by 2050, but I think the costs are already being felt. And the one thing that we're trying to make people recognize is that a significant portion of the losses can be prevented or protected against with actions that we know of today. There's lots more, I shouldn't say lots more, there is more research we can do, there is more knowledge that we can gain, but we do have sufficient knowledge to know what the problem, what the characteristics of the problems are, and what some of the options are to protect ourselves in the future against these losses. Whoops. Just to give you an idea of some of the more recent, or just to overview some of the more recent events that have occurred in Atlantic Canada. You may recall in December 2010, there was a significant rainfall event in the southwest corner of New Brunswick. Some of the rainfall amounts ran anywhere in that region from 100 millimeters of rain in a two-day period up to 180. And the amount of flooding in communities and along riverways was enormous. Obviously, you can see in this picture a significant amount of infrastructure that was highly damaged or rendered useless. The total cost of that particular event has been estimated at $35 million and possibly more. In Nova Scotia, a little bit earlier, there was the rainfall event in Meath Cove, where people were actually cut off from the rest of the world. Bridges out, etc. In fact, I think there were somewhat 100 residents and 26 tourists that were stranded. The cost estimated were $7.2 million damage to provincial infrastructure, including roads, bridges, culverts, that made up about almost 7 million of that amount. Another event that occurred a little bit longer ago was in Prince Edward Island, a nor'easter that hit Charlottetown and dumped about 21 inches of snow in a period of 2 days, and was exacerbated, to use a big word, by winds gusting up to 118 kilometers per hour. And as you can see in the pictures, there was a huge storm surge that resulted in damage to coastlines and coastal infrastructure. The cost of that particular event was estimated at $9 million. And our friends in Newfoundland, they seem to get hit on a regular basis. When this slideshow was made, we were talking about Igor. It happened in September 2010. Huge damage that had an impact in over 200 Newfoundland and Labrador communities. Most of the damage was centered in the central region, included loss of life and extensive infrastructure damage, where more than 200 millimeters of rain fell in some areas, and wind speeds at 135 to 155 kilometers an hour. Even the Trans-Canada was closed down, so that's something to consider when one of our major arteries is completely closed. It has huge societal and economic impacts. The damage claims so far have been estimated to the governments in terms of infrastructure of $100 million, and also through the Insurance Bureau of Canada estimates of an additional $65 million. One thing to note, that there was a silver lining here. The St. John's and a couple of other communities benefited from their experiences with Hurricane Chantal, where a number of key infrastructures were updated to accommodate the higher levels of storm water and to be able to manage certain water flows and prevent it and minimize damages in certain areas. That's an example of where learning from your experience is a good thing. I think Nicole was telling me the other day, and I think it's a southern coastal community where some infrastructure that was wiped out by Igor was just finished. They just remediated, just completed it, wiped out again by the rainfall from Ophelia. So I don't know whether it's a question of not learning from experience or it wasn't quite completed yet, but to me that again reemphasizes the important nature of incorporating climate change into decisions, infrastructure development decisions. So there's your examples from each province of what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing.